Hi, Ericson Library. It is Rhonda back with another What You Readin' Wednesday. Thanks for joining me again. And I just finished up with our Rory Readers book discussion this evening, which is so much fun. And we don't always have the same people come, but the conversations are always great. It's a very laid back book club. We just get together and talk about what we've been reading, what is on our to be read list, some of the books that have been turned into TV shows and series since we're at home watching a lot of stuff as well. What we thought of it, comparing the book to the movie or series. It's just anything pop culture that comes up. We just have a really good time. So I hope that you can join me some month. The Rory Readers Book Club discussion is always the second Wednesday of the month. You can check out the Ericson Library Facebook page and you can click on going or interested, so then you get a reminder about our book club. So I hope you can join us some month. And so it's April already. And April is National Poetry Month, in case you did not know. Right now at the library, you can pick up Blackout Poetry kits to try your hand at Blackout Poetry. And if you don't know what that is, I encourage you to look it up. Google it or, look up on the internet. You'll see lots of examples. It's a really neat form of poetry where, a lot of people, maybe if you haven't done poetry, you feel like you don't, maybe are not good at it or don't know how to sit down and write a poem. Blackout Poetry, when you look it up, you'll see that you just use a newspaper, old book, magazine, and you take a page with words on it and you isolate words that speak to you. And then you use those words to form a poem and then black everything out around it so those words stand out to form the poem. So you don't need to, feel the pressure about writing it, because you're basically finding words to form a poem. So everybody can be a poet. We're doing a live poetry reading later on this month. And because it's National Poetry Month, there are some really, really unique books that are actually written in verse, kind of set up like a poem. And there's quite a few of amazing, amazing ones in the YA section. So those are the ones that I wanted to highlight this week for What You Readin' Wednesday. So I will start with one that has won the National Book Award. It's by Jacqueline Woodson, and it's called Brown Girl Dreaming. And each month I've tried to read a book that talks, that's more diverse. And so this is what I have this month on my to-be-read pile. And I will tell you a little bit of what it's about. One of today's finest writers tells the moving story of her childhood. In vivid, free verse, award-winning author Jacqueline Woodson shares what it was like to grow up in the 60s and 70s in both the North and the South. Raised in South Carolina, and later in Brooklyn, New York, Woodson often felt halfway home in each place and describes the reality of living with the remnants of Jim Crow and her growing awareness of the civil rights movement. Brown Girl Dreaming. And I'll just kind of show you so you can kind of see how it's written in verse as opposed to traditional book. And this one, I actually have two books by this author, Elizabeth Esavito. And you can see that this one was also a National Book Award winner, and it won 2 other awards as well. So it's won a lot of awards. So this one is called With the Fire on High, and this one is called The Poet X. And again, these are also written in more of the verse method. So you can see that. And every month at the library, we have magazines available called Book Page, and they talk about new books that have come out recently. It's a great place to, if you're searching for your next read. And they actually, this is the last month's, this is the current month. This is April's. And they actually talked about the Poet X in here. So I wanted to read to you what they have written about the Poet X. Once in a blue moon, a YA book earns universal critical acclaim and achieves great commercial success. The Poet X, Elizabeth Esavito's debut novel in verse, was one such book. It won just about every award that exists to honor YA literature, including the National Book Award, the Michael L. Prince Award, and spent more than 20 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. You'll understand why as soon as you begin reading it. The story of Xomara, a Dominican-American teen who discovers the light of poetry burning within her and reckons with the forces in her life that would see it extinguished, will set your heart on fire. I especially recommend the audiobook for your first read, since Esavito's narration draws out the meter and musicality of her accessible conversational verses. I'm usually wary of sweeping statements, but in this case, one is merited. The Poet X is the perfect book that everyone should read. So here you go, The Poet X, highly recommended. And I will share two more with you. This one is by acclaimed author Jason Reynolds, and I know that I've reviewed other books of his on the What You Read in Wednesday series. This one is called Long Way Down, and again, written in verse. 60 seconds, 7 floors, 3 rules, 1 gun. Will's older brother Sean has been shot, dead. Will feels a sadness so great he can't explain it. But in his neighborhood there are 3 rules. Number 1, crying. Don't, no matter what. Number 2, snitching. Don't, no matter what. Number 3, revenge. Do, no matter what. But bullets miss. You can get the wrong guy. And there's always someone else who knows to follow the rules. Long Way Down, Jason Reynolds. And finally, this is actually by Elizabeth Esavito as well. So we have 3 books on this review by her, and this one is called Clap When You Land. And there's been a lot of write-ups recently on this book as well, because it is just so well liked. And again, in verse. Camino Rios lives for the summers when her father visits her from the Dominican Republic. But this year, on the day when his plane is supposed to land, Camino arrives at the airport to see crowds of crying people. In New York City, Yahiro Rios is called to the principal's office, where her mother is waiting to tell her that her father, her hero, has died in a plane crash. Separated by distance and Poppy's secrets, the 2 girls are forced to face a new reality in which their father is dead and their lives are forever altered. And then, when it seems like they've lost everything, they learn of each other. Clap when you land. So I hope that gave you some really good reading recommendations. And I hope you come to pick up a Blackout Poetry kit at the library. And as well, I would love for you to join us for our live poetry reading that we're having to honor National Poetry Month. That is going to be on Thursday, April 22nd at 7 p.m. Let me know if you want the Zoom link. And for those of you that have picked up a Blackout Poetry kit, I would love for you to come to our poetry night and share your poem with us. Or if you have another poem you've written you'd like to share, or if you have a favorite poet or another favorite poem written by somebody else, we would love to have you share it. Have a great week and a great month.